joining us, to our listeners. Good evening. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
Peter,
joining
are we
us.
starting now or we are waiting?
Hi, Alice. Greetings. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure. My name is Valdivia Virginia. I'm currently the Chief Ambassador of Global Youth Forum, and welcome to our session today on Ordinary Voices. So before I introduce my guest, allow me just to give a brief of what GYF does, and then I can be able to welcome our guest to be able to have a conversation with us. So Global Youth Forum is a community-based organization that works to equip the young people, especially across Kenya, with the necessary skills to be able to either secure a job or create a business for themselves. And of course, as GYF, we have different thematic areas that we work under to be able to achieve this goal. And our vision is to eventually become a leading youth NGO supporting young people in creating a better future for themselves. So first and foremost, Ordinary Voices is one of the ways in which we use young people to be able to share their feedback, to be able to share their insights, discussing issues that are affecting their communities, and also propose some solutions that we can be able to work on to be able to ensure that we get to bring together like-minded individuals to implement these solutions. And then, of course, we have Molding for Work, where we engage students in a one-year scholarship program, whereby they're also able to learn skills. And at the end of the 8 months after the training, they're able to take internship or apprenticeships for 4 months just to be able to put these skills into use. We also have Sports for SDGs, which is a platform whereby we enable collaborations with like-minded people using the sports to be able to develop and advocate for any SDG-related goal. So we currently concluded an inter-county peace futsal tournament that was one of our programs under the Sports for SDGs. We have also Archery for the Goals, whereby we use archery as an individual sport to be able to provide practical goal-setting skills. So welcome once again. And at this point, I would like to welcome our guests. So kindly put on your videos for our listeners to be able to see you, introduce yourselves, who you are, what you do, what SDG goal you're passionate about, and what change you want to see in the world. So for our guests, karibuni sana. Alias and Peter, are you able to hear me?
Val, I can definitely hear you. So I think the internet seems bad. So we are on and off. Okay, I'm a usual guest on here, and my name is Peter. I work with Val at Global Youth Forum, and I'm grateful to be here again to listen into what guests have. I might also be a guest, but that's another story for another day. So Val, that's me. Did you want me to answer any specific question? Or?
Yes, I wanted to know. You've already said what you do with us at the GYF. So what is your favorite SDG and what is the change you want to see in the world?
My favorite SDG is goal number 1, no poverty. The change I want to see in the world, I want to see young people get out of poverty and live better lives. Yeah.
So you believe this is something we can be able to achieve, especially in Kenya?
Yeah. Val, look, I was brought up in I grew up in that poverty sort of things. Yeah, sort of life. And it is not a bit about mourning about the poverty. I think it prepared me to get where I am today. So I'm very proud to have come from that particular background, and having seen the light, I think it is something that can be achieved. So that's why I'm definitely passionate about it. So I'm not mourning about my background. Instead, I'm definitely proud about it because it prepared me to see how the worlds look like and how I can definitely solve this poverty issue. So I think it can be achieved. So I will say yes.
You have defended your point well. Alias Karibu, welcome to the session. Are you able to hear us?
Seems like we have sort of internet issues in Uganda. So Val, let's carry on, and then we
can carry on from our end. And join us as we proceed.
Yeah.
So tell us, you've said you work with GYF. You work with me at GYF. So as the CEO of GYF, where do you feel we will be in the next 1 year from now, especially in relation to our Sports for SDGs thematic area?
I think that is a good question. Where will we be in the next 1 year? Val, where we will be in the next 1 year? We've just done the 15th football tournament. Now, I think looking at our data and statistics, we have now engaged 52 partners. And if we add 52 partners, bringing us to again over 300 football teams. So to answer your question really straight, we started a new initiative this year called Intercampus Peace Futsal Championship. So what we are looking to do, we want to ensure that Intercampus Peace Futsal Championship brings 17 teams, each team representing a sustainable development goal, and having 8 women teams and 9 male teams next year. And we want to bring 17 institutions, higher learning institutions, combine them with the 17 partners to support them in terms of bringing the SDGs to life. And to add the last one, because this is a bit of building up, we want to transition from a CBO into an NGO next year. So that is a very exciting, and we are widening our base. So all the young people are welcome. So we want to extend our reach. After 8 years of exploring, testing things and doing things, so we now want to spread our wings. Val, there we go.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. In fact, that is very short and sweet and straight to the point. I think I was about to just call on Alias, but I think he's disappeared a bit. So as we're just also trying to build up, in terms of the previous tournament, what was the most prevalent feedback that you got in terms of what the young people were able to experience at the tournament? One negative and one positive.
Wait, are you asking the one we just did in April or the
yes,
the 14 ones?
No, the one we just did in April.
Okay. The positive one, I think the boys and the girls loved the organizational structure, like how the things were done from the beginning to the end. So they enjoyed the process. So I think that is one of the best feedback that we got. The negative one, I will give you two. The teams, they were looking for allowances. We did not give them allowances. So they are crying, so they are crying for allowances. We did not have the allowances to give. So I think that is a negative one. And then the other one was, the other negative we got was teams, we did not award position 2 and 3. So they were saying so they want an award for position 2 and 3. And then both teams, they need the most disciplined team for the women and for the male. So those were some of for some of the things the teams played. But overall, we were rated 4.2% out of 5, Val. So you guys must have done some good job there. Yeah.
I am very proud of us and very proud of the team. And of course, you as one of our organizers for that session. Alias, welcome. Karibu sana. If you're able to hear us, kindly unmute. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what passionate SDG goal SDG goal are you passionate about? And also, what change do you want to see in the world? Alias, are you able to hear us? Kindly unmute.
Yeah, thank you so much, Val and Peter. It's a pleasure being with you guys once again in this forum and to discuss matters that are very important in relation to the Sustainable Development Goal and discussing areas specifically to football and how football can really be of impact. First of all, I want to really apologize. It's a weekend. I'm at home. I am unable to control my background for now. So, but I think I'll be audible enough to share with you the insight and how best.
Sorry, we are losing you. Maybe you can turn off the video so we can be able to get a better audio.
Yeah.
Yes. You're still breaking. So maybe you can turn the video off. It will be a bit easier. We can be able to hear you better. But as we wait for him to sort it out, maybe I can get Peter. Since you're here with us, allow me to use you as the scapegoat at the moment, and just to ask in terms of also just further in terms of football and SDG for goals. I think we've spoken about sports for SDGs a little bit. Can you tell us more about Molding for Work, and especially what we have lined up for the rest of the year?
I think Val, with this one, you are trying to pin me down in relation to this football tournament that we have done. So I will speak in relation to like sports, Molding for Work. As you know, Molding for Work comprises of like 8 units, talking about passion and goals, financial literacy, job search and application, CV and cover letter writing. And then we have turning passions into projects and professions. So I will relate this to the concluded tournament where 15 teams took part. So what is happening, we are now getting these teams to work on a team project. And there is each team was having a sustainable development goal. So now after playing, and I will relate this to their allowances, so each team will come up with a project. For example, we are facing a lot of climate change issues. We are facing about youth unemployment. Some are working on good health and well-being. So they are coming up with an SDG project. And we are now bringing them into the Molding for Work training for under business modeling, where they can be trained on how to come up with an idea that they can actually work as a team to implement. So looking at that and relating that to the football tournament that we've just done, we are now infusing or bringing the teams that have taken part and now empowering them with the tools to go out and now start doing something in the community. The other one we will speak about a little bit later, but relating it to sports, that is what we have. All the 15 teams that have taken part, the training under business modeling, then we will have a pitching contest where we will select the top 3 business ideas that we can work with the students to implement in the community. And this is the last one, Val. We are not giving handouts to the teams. No allowances, no nothing, but they have to work for it. We want to give them the skills such that even they are not with us, they can actually use the skills to grow their community and inspire hope and drive actions for the SDGs. So there we go.
And I like the fact that you've said in terms of skill development, how they can be able to use the same skills to develop their communities. Because as you said, I personally, as a volunteer for around 7 years, I think a lot of the skills I learned as a volunteer at GYF has allowed me to be able to also pursue a career in program management, which has been quite productive and quite helpful in my job. So Alias, welcome. You're able to hear us? Kindly unmute.
Yeah, thank you so much, Val. I'm able to hear you.
You can be able to hear us.
My background wasn't okay, but now I'm okay. Yes, thank you so much.
Better. Okay, welcome. You told us who you are and what you do, but you did not mention your favorite SDG and what change you want to see in the world. Yeah, maybe to reintroduce myself again, I'm called Alias Mahmoud. I'm from Uganda. I'm a public health officer, currently doing disease surveillance and response at Arua City Health Office. So my favorite SDG is actually SDG 13, that is a climate action. But then, of course, yes, I look at SDG 3 and then also 16 to, yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And in terms of one change you'd like to see in the world, what change do you believe as a world we're in need of at this point? Yeah, particularly right now, if you see what is happening in the globe, all over the globe, is there's a lot of fight and etc. that happens, and I look forward at peace, because with peace there's development that comes up. Then I look at forward at justice. Where there's justice, you find accountabilities. Take a scenarios of what happens with African countries, exploitations, human trafficking, and other
confounding factors which are not favorable enough. Then lastly, I look forward at sustainability, building up strong institutions. So those are the changes that I actually see. Of recently, when I saw the integration of East Africa, where South Sudan, DRC, and joining in, even of recently where Somalia is trying to join in, that one will enable us to build a very strong institutions. So of recently, when actually I got an invite from Global Youth Forum to come and discuss issues in relation to football as an agent of peace, justice, and building the strong institutions, I was very pleased to join to discuss this, because I believe peace, justice, strong institutions is actually an ideal change that we will need to build all the countries all over the world.
Thank you for that. And just as we are also in the question, since we began the session, allow me to ask, I know you played football until Division 1 League while in Uganda. And I just want to learn from you, what are some of the challenges that you were able to face at that time? And why did you not pursue football as a long-term career?
Yes, thank you so much, Val. And yeah, it's true, I played football. I played football actively. Actually, my career started at a very tender age. Out of passion, out of love, out of the community I actually grew up in, because there is a community of football. I played football at school level, at primary level, secondary games. We played up to the Copa Coca-Cola, that is the national championship. I actually played up to the university league, and yes, not only first division, because if you see the structure of football in Uganda, it starts from the first division, then it comes to the regional. From regional, then you go to the big league and then to the professional level. So the level at which I stopped at playing at the regional level. And the challenges, there are numerous challenges that I really faced. And the first of all was a competing priority with my education career. Because maybe before the education career as very important to me, I developed an injury, a knee injury that could not really make me now become very efficient enough. So looking now, the alternative to me was education. And it was a priority to me equally, because the family that I come from, education is very important, and all of them take it very serious. So one of the challenges that actually I faced in terms of my football career was my education, because I need to know balance books and that. Then second, the second challenge was the challenge of funds and support in terms of football in Uganda. In Uganda, football is taken as an option. I could say that because if you see our players that are professionally, they're actually very few. So that somehow begin to demotivate me up. Then perhaps also, I also begin to see the life at which our footballers are. Many of the footballers who even play professional, they are unable to meet some of the needs, and the lives are very hard. Then perhaps maybe lastly was the tendency of corruption. So bit of this started to demotivate me in trying to continue with football. I was like, it's better I go to educations where I know at certain time, the moment you finalize it, you will have some capacities, some competencies to do some other things at ease. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Alias. And just as a concurrent question to that, I just wanted to know, I've heard you've mentioned that there was maybe let's say a lack of a mentorship when it came to a lot of the things to do with sports. So you said you had an injury at some point. So do you believe that even if you had not had that injury, that football would actually be something you'd pursue, or it's actually because you had the option, not really the option, but education was considered a much more successful endeavor? So even if it was not about the football injury, chances are you'd still have gone the education way instead of the sports, the football career way.
Yeah, that's true. Whereby I actually mentioned the issues of the lack of fund and support in football. So that one will give you an easy path that education, it's where you will really achieve. So the injury actually came on, by the way, because the level of success using football in Uganda is actually very slim. And first of all, I really want to appreciate so much the Global Youth Forum advocating us on sports. And previously, when I was working with Uganda Red Cross Society, and we actually worked on ideas of using football as an agent of peace, first of all, and development. There was a project that was called as Football for Development. So that ideal football for development was looking at at empowering young people using football as an agent of change. So why that? Particularly, it is just because the institution, the fraternity of sports is underdeveloped. So for someone to venture efforts, to venture in sports is actually a big risk. So it needs a lot of advocacy, like what now Global Youth Forum is doing. It needs a lot of trying to coordinate here and there to find in support such that this is really put in place. Of course, you know, sports has a lot of benefits. I think in the due course of the discussion, we will come into that so much.
Okay, and I think also as you're mentioning, I'd like just to also tie this into, in terms of your perspective, do you believe that sports can be used to ensure that maybe refugees in Uganda can live better lives and contribute towards the realization of SDGs, especially SDG 16?
True. Yes, true. Because you know, through sport, it can really create that that element of collaborations and teamwork. You know, collaboration and teamwork brings in unity. And secondly, let's look at the side of the skills. You know, one way, you know, those days we take as like sport as an option, but sport is one of the venture now of 21st century, where when we have the skills, it can really people can really earn a living. Let's take a lot of examples, those of Mariga, we have been here, and those of Mariga, those of Olej, like in Uganda, those of Sekaja. So sports has a very big hand the moment you have skills to impact on the development. Now, thirdly, let's talk about the zonal or the regional or the national identity. You know, it helps in creating these identifications. Yes, Kenya as a nation is also recognized through sports. Uganda, let's talk about clubs. Recently, I saw when was it Gor Mahia or FC Leopard? You know, I also follow them a little bit. I saw when they were going to play, the match was very vividly being followed. So it creates an identity of a particular group. Maybe lastly, it actually creates a very positive outlet to reduce crimes, particularly youth. What Global Youth Forum is doing, mobilizing young people, engaging them, it reduces in the tendency of idleness. Perhaps it enables the creativities to come in. So young people will not engage in issues of crime and etc. So against this background, I concur that really sports can really contribute a lot, not only at the refugee settings, of which I earlier on told you all that we have been trying previously at the refugee settings, and now it's working. It has brought all these kind of important factors in, and then, you know, sports can really help in supporting the SDG 16.
Okay, thank you for that. I think I have been rushing questions one after the other, and I just to finalize on this aspect of sports, you've mentioned the fact of identity for the youth, and also mentioned something about criminal activities. So now, apart from the criminal activities that the youth can engage in, I want to ask you especially about corruption and you know, embezzlement of funds, especially a lot of these football leagues. How can corruption be removed in the sports industry, in your opinion?
Yeah, you know, each and everything in a particular country, particularly it needs a policy. perhaps also government involvement into this. To fight corruption is not something very easier. It needs policies to be put into place. The system has to be ironed out, government to come to support in development of sports. Corruption is just a vice, and awareness creation, engaging the actors in the fraternity of sports in how important sport is as a tool of development is one of the key things. So what I can really tell people out there is government really have to take it up very seriously. That is the only way we will really stop corruption.
Okay, thank you. And just as you're proceeding, I'd just like to call into our listeners. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, feel free to raise them in the chat. We'll be able to share this with the guests. And also, as you're proceeding, Peter, allow me to come to you and give Alias a moment to breathe. For example, if you are able to speak about corruption, especially in the football industry, from a Kenyan context, what do you think would be the best way to be able to combat this problem?
Okay, talking about corruption, and Elias just said, this is never an easy thing. There is a pool of cartels everywhere. Cartels. So from corruption, where we are speaking about somebody's talented, they never get to a platform where they can showcase their talents. So that is the first level of corruption. So I know somewhere who knows someone who knows someone. So if even their daughter or son doesn't know how to play, I will call somebody to like get them to the platform and eliminate those who actually know how to play and things like that. So how that can be eliminated first is having a system, probably like what Elias have said, having like a system that will ensure the right people are in the right places. That is number one. And then look, if we give funds and we demand accountability from those we give our funds to, if, for example, FIFA comes and gives you $2 million and they give you an expectations. So if you don't meet those expectations and steal the funds or loot the funds, well, let the court or what do you call them? The judges and the law. Yeah, the magistrates, if you are caught guilty, Val, because the money is gone and you have not delivered what you promised to deliver, get these people, sell their assets, recoup the money, and allow them to go, and then allow them to go find some money somewhere else. But at the end of the money, all the long-term processes of going around through the court and all this, like, what do you call it? Retrieve the lost money through various means. If even it is selling their assets, firing them anywhere, just be serious on what Elias have said. Just be serious about it. Do not tolerate corruption. Just don't tolerate it. And just take very tough decisions to fight it. And then just get the right people in the right places. I think that will be my summary in terms of fighting corruption in the sports industry.
And I think for both of you, you actually have mentioned the very same point, that we need to have a no tolerance policy for corruption, but also based on the kind of culture that we have, especially in the African culture, and for us, especially in Kenya, corruption is a way of life per se, in the sense that a lot of things that, Kenyans are doing, it's from the very little things where you go to a clinic and there's a queue and you don't want to make a queue, you pay a little something, to be, taken ahead of the line. It's the police officer who's stopping a matatu on the way and, get something small to let the matatu pass. So there's still the idea that as much as you want to create this policy, we really have to go deeper into changing the culture or changing the norm that is in the society. And moving along.
Yes, probably they're posting you there really a second, Val. Yes. Just there is a really good statistic. Maybe Elias have also seen it. Look, we are on the Sustainable Development Goals. And you know why? I was just thinking, why are we only at like 12% of the SDGs on track? The rest are even coming back. But then you have this civil society, you have NGOs, you have government pumping money into organizations, putting money into the sports and the community projects. Why are we not getting results? The money is ending in the cartels' pockets. and they come up with a manipulated reports telling us, well, we have empowered over 10,000 people. And you ask them where these over 10,000 people, they are nowhere to be seen.
There's no.
Yeah, they've stolen the money, gone and built their own estates, collecting rents, and the common man is just suffering there. The person who needs to benefit from these funds is not benefiting. And it is due to all this corruption. So just kill corruption. And within 1 year, Val, we will be like 50% on SDGs. So it is just 1 minute to kill. And then we are somewhere. Obviously, you can't do it overnight. Yeah, you can't do it overnight. You got to play the game, you see.
Very true, very true. Thank you so much for that, both Peter and Alias. And our next question goes to Alias. If you are the president of FIFA, what one policy would you introduce to the national federations that will ensure that football is used to advance SDG, and that the policy of no one is left behind is actually achieved? So maybe if you're the president, what policy would you want to introduce that will ensure that we are able to advance SDGs and that no one is left behind when it comes to football?
Yeah, when it comes to football, I think involvement of football at the grassroots level is really ideal, because I give this on the background of Uganda. You find the football fraternity mostly concentrate so much at the central region, you know. So football need to be built at the grassroots level. So the moment we don't think about that child who is unable to buy a shoe, who is unable to have a football, a proper football pitch, maybe maybe having a ball. So the government have to put forward an idea, or maybe any actor that will support football have an idea of thinking about the grassroots level. Then secondly, maybe an idea of expansion, of expanding the football into a global perspective, because we don't really need to think just locally that we are developing these players maybe to play for Kenya, particularly maybe to play within Kenya, or play within Uganda, but we need to really develop the football players to compete competitively with the players outside there. So this, I want to just testify to you all and Peter that in Uganda we have a lot of players who play professional league. They play very good football. You could even see as if they have achieved. But when they go for trials in Europe, they fail. And the reason simply is they don't have what it takes to play football. You know, we sometimes when they come back, we wonder, we say, this is our stars. You know, for example, we have a very talented few young players here in Uganda. You know, I don't want to mention the names, but they play the national team. But whenever they go out to professional, it's only a few who have remained, except in Kenya. You know, there's a level of corruptions, but some few of their players are able to play professional. Now, when we go to Ghana, let's go to Ghana, let's go to Algeria, let's go to Morocco, let's go to Nigeria, Zambia. Now they have developed a platform of the grassroots. They have developed that expansions, you know, the exposures, where their players will be able to play professional. And because football alone, it is not about playing it in the football pitch. I love to see what Global Youth Forum is doing. Football involves the classwork, the football pitch, the discipline part, because, you know, it has a lot of these components. So I think those are the two factors I think I will advise and will put in the consideration.
Val, before you go there, I'm just tempted to jump on Elias' element. Look, the discipline part of things. Like I see, Elias, I see really good players, but they become like, I don't know, you call it egocentric. Or like, now I'm a pro, I'm a star. So they start like throwing hands and not following instructions, doing all these sorts of things. And they go out there, the discipline. So Val, that's why we did have in our tournament, we are having the most disciplined team.
Most disciplined team.
Yeah. And you see, Elias is bringing that on board. I just wanted to echo that because it is really important. It is not what you do in the field that matters. That is just a really small percentage that really counts at the end of the day. So yeah,
And I completely agree. You
Yeah,
have to be a
maybe,
Sorry?
maybe Val, there's something, no, there's a quote I wanted to share with you. Recently, I was watching one of the professional player. Actually, I forgot the name, but yeah, he plays for Tottenham Hotspur. You know, in one of his interviews, he said, you see what we do in the pitch, it's just a small, it's just a bit of a lot more at the behind the background. At the background, we have a lot. Actually, they even they asked him what happened to Dele Alli. I know our viewers, maybe Peter and you all know Dele Alli. He was a very talented footballer, but I think when Jose Mourinho came in Tottenham, I think in one of the one of the interview, Mourinho said one time he summoned Dele Alli and said, if only you did not change certain things, I predict in some few years you will be no more. But I think it is evidence. Dele Alli's stage, he was at the peak, the best, the best young PFA player of the year, had a lot of, but later on he had adversities. Now, what were those adversities? One is the discipline part. Two, players now will fail to train up. When the money comes in, they will now begin to overdo things beyond football. Maybe fourthly, let's talk about the zeal. Actually there are so many aspects which I would mention. So ideally, what I will talk about sport, the success of sport of the individual is just very small. There's a lot more at the background. So when we are trying to put sports at the center of first bringing peace, maybe trying to build our communities, let's also look forward at what is at the background of the success of sports. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you've actually brought that point. And I think Peter can agree that indeed there's a lot of success that we'll see with GYF now, that there's a lot of work that has gone in the background to ensure that GYF is where it is at this point. So I thank you so much for both your insights on that. And also, Peter, just to tie to that point, as a member of the Football for the Goals, now that we've also mentioned some of the issues that have come up in our discussion, what would you invite the member of the initiatives to do to ensure that football is used to advance SDGs, and especially your favorite SDG? And I remember you mentioned no poverty. So what do you think would be the best way to be able to use football to advance the no poverty SDG goal?
Okay. So first, to bring the viewers and all members, maybe Val and Elias, you guys know about Football for the Goals, an initiative by the UN to bring the football community from across the globe to inspire hope and drive actions for the Sustainable Development Goals. So you guys can go check Football for the Goals online and you will find more about it. So for me, now I know we are over 280 members from across the globe. FIFA is a member. And lots of these organizations out there using football as a tool are members. So my message, probably just a tip for members of the movement, is it will revolve around partnerships. We can never do these things alone. However much Global Youth Forum is trying, or whoever somewhere, we need a hand. Just like Val, we've concluded this tournament. We worked with the United Nations. We are now working with the United Nations Information Service, playing their part in terms of mobilizing. The Cooperative Bank came in. University of Nairobi brought us all we needed and gave us the facility. Mine will be, come together again, share the limited resources you have, and drive the actions we definitely want to see. So for me, in terms of advocating or using football as a tool to eradicate poverty, for example, I used to be very chaotic when I was in school. The only way to calm me down, you give me a ball, I'm calm. So let us use again football to bring people together and then introduce ideas. And then get people now to work on those ideas as a team, especially getting young people to work or help them start their own businesses. Val, that for me will just be a simple one too, for them to digest and probably continue to inspire the initiative and to bring it to achieve its objective by 2030.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Peter. And I see Ivan is in, or I've seen, okay, no, sorry for that. So as we are coming to a close, I'd like to ask Alias, if I wanted to be a professional athlete as a footballer, what advice would you give me? What do I need to do to be able to get there?
Yes, the first thing is like decision-making skills. You know, each and everything starts with the decisions. You know, the bad decisions you make will actually have a lot of negative implications to your career, particularly. The good decisions you make, the better you will achieve more. Then secondly, you know, issues relating to football needs a lot of dedications. So we need to really, you know, you need to be dedicated in whatever you're going to do. Three, let's look at the concentrations. You can't dedicate without concentration. You know, the same thing you all know that even when you are at school, you need to concentrate on your books in order to pass. If you are doing business, you need to concentrate on the business. You need to such that for you to achieve or succeed. The sports also need that concentrations. How do you concentrate from day one up to the point at which you want to reach? And second last, let's talk about the team player. Sports is not an individual thing. I really, you know, want to give a big thumbs up for the Global Youth Forum. I see it has a composition of a very dedicated team players. That's the same aspects of sports. Messi, let me just cite for you an example like Messi or Ronaldo.
Yes.
They have achieved an enormous success, like winning the Ballon d'Or, winning the World Cup, and let's mention them. They won't win all this without the other team players, from the goalkeeper up to the last. Even if you're the best, you still need the other team because each have the roles to achieve. So team player is a key aspect for you to be successful in sport. But lastly, as one of the key factors for human beings is to believe in yourself. I believe I need to maybe remind Peter. You know, there was some time back I used to follow a lot, much of the conversation of the Global Youth Forum. I think even earlier today, before we start the conversations, Peter was asking where he got lost. I shared with him about the adversities around, you're trying to move etc. But what I want to bring forward is the idea of believing in yourself, believing in what you want to do. And Peter, I remember him saying, he believed that one time, Global Youth Forum will be at a certain level. Yes. Everything is a process, you know? It's just like, yeah, maybe to summarize, I want to just say it on one of my personal principles. You know, most people fail to understand this principle, that coming together is usually a beginning. And keeping together is a process, and staying together is a success. So at most time, coming together sometimes looks a little bit easier, but keeping together is the most difficult part of it all. Challenging. Yes, and then you know, the moment we're able to stay together to achieve the success, you find it, you know, it's not well. So this same principle can happen to a sport. You come together. You see, I don't know, Peter, have you ever heard about our football club called Onduparaka FC in Uganda, in Arua, where I'm coming from?
Not really, no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's at some time they had an MOU with Gor Mahia. They had a lot of friendly matches trying to engage. It is equally a community football club, just like Gor Mahia. What happened is the football team started, and as usual, it started to grow bigger and bigger. And then out of a blue, it started to disintegrate. So that means staying together was the problem. The similar thing again happened again. We also had another emerging club called Arua Hill Sports Club. It's one of the biggest club in my city. It started big. It started making a lot of MOUs with clubs in Europe, in Turkey. It started building a lot, even stadium and facilities. But what I saw later on is they were unable to stay together because they came together, they started keeping together. So in the process of keeping together, things started to disintegrate. Now staying together was a challenge. So everything ends there, and it becomes history. But I'm sure you can even give for me a success story of Gor Mahia, because I know Gor Mahia, AFP Leopard, I think if I mentioned it right, they have really stayed for a longer period of time, and they are one of the, we heard about them. We hear about them here in Uganda, that these are community clubs. So this can be an example of how sports, using community clubs, using the grassroots, where the community plays a lot of role in sports, to develop sports, to attain success in sports, because sports has a lot of positive impacts. I will attest to you, I'm sure even before Peter and the team starting Global Youth Forum and picking sports as a driver, you know there's a lot of positive impact that sport has. There are a few negative impacts about sports. The problem is only those vices that we have just mentioned. So if we address it, but at most, on my summary is, how do we involve the government? Because if the government do not support, we are doing nothing. We will not achieve anything, because at the end, everything goes to them. Thank you so much.
Very true. And I love the way you have extensively given proper advice. And I like also the fact that you've also highlighted that there is more than just what goes into the pitch. There's a whole part of character that is required in terms of actually pursuing football as a professional career. And I think, Peter, because I know you also love football, do you believe, or do you even agree with what Alias has said in terms of some of the advice he has given? Do you believe that there's more, that apart from just the pitching, there's more in terms of character that is required of our young people?
Okay, so Val, look, let me use you as an example. I met you sometime back in 2015, Val. And for example, people can say like a vision bearer knows where, like I clearly can tell. Sometimes it can be cloudy, but when we met, I could see something that Global Youth Forum could do. I never knew we would get here. I knew just we were going to be small somewhere. That was 2015, Val. And I want you just to recall, by just being honest with yourself, and just how many times have you asked me that, Pete, I want to step down. Pete, I want to resign. Pete, I want to do this. So it is my responsibility to come and pitch again the vision to you. Val, you as an individual, which we did in the initial space of finding where does Val want to go? And what does Global Youth Forum has for Val that will help Val get to where she wants to get? Each and every time I come to you, I look at that. I just don't come to you and say, you got to come to GYF. I see your vision inside Global Youth Forum. And when you buy in and every single time you tell me you want to resign, or you want to like take a break, I'm like, Val, please. Now, I want you, and you always come back and you go think again, and then you come back. Now, let us now go to a tournament where young people they've come and they've played for one day, and they are looking for allowances. They are looking for money. And it is not that we don't have the money, or you see that short-termism of things. Other people see the long term, other people see the short term. So when these teams come and they lack the discipline, they see the handout, they see the allowances, and they don't see the bigger picture, there is now where the problem starts. So it comes with the foundation. What foundation were laid when such organizations or clubs were being sorted, or they were being created? So if the foundation, Elias, is weak, in between, if it was like it brought people because Val, I brought you to Global Youth Forum so we can make money and loot the money, and now the money is coming and we are not now looting together, there is now a problem. Peter, we agreed that we were going to loot the money. We are not looting anymore. I'm going. You see what I mean? Yes. But if we say, Val, we are setting a foundation to empower the young people, if money comes, well and good. If it doesn't come, Val, we are in this game for the long term. So the discipline, the patience, the sacrifice, and all the dedication and the teamwork that comes with that, Val, no one can pay you for that. So when people, if you find the like-minded who champion, I know Elias, if I was somebody, I was not going to invite Elias for this call, but tolerating people, understanding them, and getting what they've been up to help you bond with people. So it is just something that won't come just easily. So Val, I think, I agree with Elias, keeping together to keep that progress going. It's always really hard. It needs you to find people, the like-minded individuals who buy in. And when you set a wrong foundation of looting and all these principles of people not being transparent, opaque like something else, you will lose them along the way. So Val,
that is true.
yeah, that's like a longer one, because like if you like along the way, Val, you could have realized Peter is looting and I'm not looting. Well, he's going to use me. I want to go. But you've seen the principles through which we live in, Val. It is genuinely like we really want to care. And people are now coming to reward that. Now, we can now see and say, Val, now we are now moving forward. But the sacrifice and all the other things, Val, we've done behind the scene to be straightforward and just stay transparent is not easy. But I'm glad we've gotten there. And now you see, even Elias is now back on our studio, so we don't know what he will bring next. So so there we go.
And
yeah.
I like, I thank you so much for that. And I like the fact that you've mentioned when it comes to transparency and openness, when it comes to how organizations are dealing. Because, and based on some of my little experience, I can say it is even harder with big organizations to be more transparent when they're dealing with the young people or even just the citizens, as opposed to small organizations. I don't know if it's because they have much more resources or much more partners that are okay with certain, what should I say, some corruption here and there, a bit of bribery. But again, as you said, the essence is to be more transparent and to be open. Just also for young people to understand, if this is the vision, then this is what you're working towards. And also ensuring that you're taking them every step of the process for them to understand what value they are able to bring. For our listeners, I hope you've taken the advice that has been given by our speakers. Very, very good discussions ongoing. And as we conclude our session for today, as I see we are out of time, I'd like to ask, starting with Elias, what would be your call to action in relation to Agenda 2030, and particularly maybe with a reference to the refugees? What would you encourage them?
Yes, first of all, before I bring out the call to action to the Agenda 2030, I want to mention that SDG 17, that is partnership for the goal, is really very key. So I'm just trying to call upon that partners and etc. have to liaise in such kind of a forum like the Global Youth Forum, which is advocating for the young people, particularly now using sports. Really have to come in to partner into supporting in these activities. In relation to the refugees, I want to mention it in refugee settings. There's three durable actions in refugee settings. One is repatriating these refugees. Two is about the local integrations, then the local the relocations, and then all the repatriations. So call for actions that I really see this as an idea, because we need to really integrate these refugees into our countries, and then we can really achieve together with them. Or else we can relocate them where best they can, or maybe we can repatriate them back to their countries. But the most important thing which I want to talk about is about health. Health, there's a say that health is usually made at home, only being repaired at the hospitals. So I make it as an important call to our viewers, to our young people, and then also embracing the environmental conservations. Peter and colleagues and viewers, we are aware that now man has become unfriendly with the environment. Let's take an example of what's happening in Kenya. Let's take an example of what's happening in South Sudan. Now, all the activities that we are doing, we are fighting with the environment. And now we are having the ozone layer depletion, where now, I think of recently, the COP, the United Nations, they are now trying to say, we are no longer in global warming, we are in global heating. The moment the global heating surpasses, now what will happen? We are now in an oven. So this two aspects is my call for Agenda 2030, health for all, and then let's take environment very seriously. Let's not fight with environment. Thank you.
And you believe our young people are able to effectively, okay, do you believe young people care about climate change? I think that's the thing I've been trying to understand. Do you believe a lot of young people understand what it is when we say climate change, and do they understand what role they have to play in relation to that?
Yeah, first of all,
by the way.
Yes, first of all, Val, you know, young people, they are the majority globally.
Yes.
And the question that you've asked, true, the awareness, they are not aware that they contribute a lot in terms of managing the environment or destroying the environment. So the aspect of using even football in impacting them or creating an awareness on environmental conservation is very key. So they are not aware. We need to create a lot of information to them, because about the environment, even the information is not enough as of now, because man is still not adjusting to the fact that there are alternatives to destroying the environment. Yes.
I agree with that. Thank you for that. And Peter, what would be your call to action?
I rarely have calls to action these days, Val, but because you've
asked,
just
give one for this.
Yeah, because you've asked, my friends, just do what Elias have told you, and you will not be far from from right. Partner with other people and get results going. That will be my call to action. So to add just a bit on that, really, like, if you partner, have that heart of partnership. Don't have like a hidden agenda. If you go into partnership, be clear of what you want. Once it is clear of what you want, and you see what you want in that organization, be ready to give your all for that organization. Do not go there thinking that you will loot for what you did not bring. You only get out what you put in. And in partnership, you need genuine partnership. If you are going somewhere thinking with the looting mindset, for example, Val, coming to Global Youth Forum, thinking we'll give you handout, and we will just say like, you will, just forget about it, my friends. It never worked for us that way. And Val and Elias knows it. It never works that way. You got to sweat, you got to put blood, tears, and everything before people can realize you. And Val, because you asked me, what's your call to action over there? I know you have also a bit. And this now I throw it back to you to also give us your call to action before you bring us home.
Okay, thank you. For me, I think my call to action would be, especially to our young people who are currently in the Molding for the Work program. I just want to ask them that they should take this training very seriously. I personally have undergone numerous training under GYF, and I remember my favorite one was the online young leaders training that I did at the time. So I just want to encourage the young members or the young participants, especially the teams in the Molding for Work program. Take it seriously, do the best that you can, because there's so many things that you're going to learn from it. And the skills that you're going to learn at this point are going to actually shape up your professional life, because it worked for me. I believe if it worked for me, it can work for you. And as a young person, there's still a lot of work that we need to do. And as Elias has said, we are the majority and we are able to have the power to influence change. So my call to action would be for the Molding for Work teams, take it seriously, do the best that you can. In fact, do better that you can. Commit to the process, and at the end of the day, I can assure you 110% that it will work for your good. Other than that, allow me to say thank you to our guests today. Our other guests have shared their apologies. They're not able to attend, Terry and Ivan. But thank you so much to Elias. Thank you, Peter, for stepping in and also sharing your insights. To our listeners, thank you so much for also joining. For those who will listen even after the session, the recorded session, feel free to engage with us in our social media platforms. And other than that, asanteni and all the best. Have a lovely evening.